This is me. This is my beloved wife, Sylvia. This is Sylvia's idea of sailing. This is my dream of sailing and my hope of circumnavigating the globe as a retirement project in 2029. This is Sylvia's reaction to that idea.
What? You got a quest?
I am on a 6-year quest to convince Sylvia that a circumnavigation is a wonderful adventure, but the clock is ticking, so join me as I search for the perfect yacht that Sylvia will love, and get all your ladies to subscribe and cheer Sylvia on in the comments. Welcome back to Naval Gazing at Camp David. This week we're heading back to France to have a look at the smallest offering from Fountaine Pajot, the Isla 40. I'm not sure if you recall, but I never intended to start this channel. I went to a beautiful boat show at Le Grand Mott in April 2 years ago, and it was the first big boat show I'd ever been to. We just don't have shows of that magnitude with boats of that size in Vancouver. And so my wife let me go unsupervised, and off I went to tricky track out there and video for her the vision of our retirement, these amazing catamarans. At the time I only videoed sort of 50-foot catamarans because this is really all I thought that would be comfortable for her or for me. I never really thought that smaller cats would do the trick. However, over the last year or so, seeing cats like the Balance 442, hoping to see the new HH 44 in a couple of weeks, and the Leopard 45, it's really got me thinking that maybe smaller is better. Let's have a look at this new boat here and see what you think. So today we're going to 1. Review its specifications, pricing, and layout against 3 similar new vessels. 2. Do a full tour asking what would Sylvia say. 3. Naval gaze at innovation and or adjustment that might make life aboard a little easier. 4. Have a look at the market of 3 to 5 year old pre-owned comparables. And 5. Give it a Dave score and compare the result with all our previously reviewed yachts. As always, all this fun is sandwiched between a pairing of wine and a work of art from the same region as the guest yacht, in an effort to capture the culture and people who gave birth to these wonderful vessels. Waves, wine, art, and ideas. What a civilized way to spend 30 minutes. So let's get going. From high above Vancouver, we head east across North America and the Atlantic, down the continent and all the way to the African continent, to South Africa, and the home port of last week's yacht at the Leopard Catamaran yards. From here, we head back up to the western shores of France in the yards of Fountaine Pajot for this week's guest yacht. Finally, we head southeast to the Rhone Valley and the home of this week's wine pairing, Xavier Vignon, Vignes, Cotes-du-Rhone 2020. Xavier Vignon is an exceptional winemaker and has been regarded as one of the greatest wine experts in the southern part of the Rhone Valley for over 20 years. After studying oenology in Montpellier, Xavier Vignon embarked on a journey around the vineyards of France and Austria. Smitten by the Rhone Valley, he set up an enology laboratory in 1996 in the Vaucluse. Since 2016, Xavier Vignon has devoted himself fully to the creation of his own wines. A great lover of fine terroirs and grape varieties, Xavier Vignon vinifies and blends vintages that stand out for their unique style. The diversity of terroirs used in this blend allows the wine to combine freshness and balance. They used clay and limestone plots located on the hillsides where old Grenache naturally expressed roasted hints. They could obtain in this wine empiromatical hints without the use of barrels. These plots, particular soils, and orientation allowed grapes to reach an optimal level of ripeness while conserving a good acidity level. They also integrated grapes coming from plots located on red rocky clay soils, also named garrigues. This allowed the wine to maintain a freshness and vivacity. These big red stones are restituting heat coming from the sun at night and bring power and structure to the wine. Also, The blend features vines coming from sandy clays, which are light and rather fresh soil. Bouquets of cassis, blueberries, lavender, cured meats, and graphite. It's deep, rich, medium to full-bodied and has a great finish. The Mourvèdre keeps this tight and fresh.
Oh, that's really good. You're going to enjoy that. Let's go have a look at that boat. Cheers.
Having a look at the Fountaine Pajot Isla 40, you know, her dimensions really are surprisingly gracious given the shortness of the vessel. Fountaine Pajot really does a lovely job in their external profiles and general style. The boat, even being a 40-foot, has a nice built-in solar panel at the aft of the bimini. It still has a faux front cockpit with nice, comfortable sunbeds there. And, it's got a great cockpit. You can see it still has its nets out front. And it strikes a handsome profile in the water. Nice size sugar scoops for onboarding and offboarding in the nice Mediterranean waters there. And overall, just a really attractive looking vessel. Again, especially given its 40-foot length. Now let's have a look at the new comparables and see what we see. Today we're looking at the Aventura 37, the Fountaine Pajot Isla 40, the Naughtytech 40, and the Bali Cat Space. You can see overall on the top line pricing, the Aventura is a significant discount and value over the other three, about €100,000 in total. Looking down here, if we look at the length overall, the largest is the Fountaine Pajot at the largest is the Naughtytech at 39.3, followed by the Fountaine Pajot at 39.14, the Bali at 38.5, and the Aventura at 35.8. As far as length at the waterline, the longest is the Naughtytech at 39.1, tied with the Fountaine Pajot at 39.14, although the fact that the length overall and the length at the waterline, my best search out, are equal makes me wonder a tad here, because usually, obviously, length of the waterline is a little shorter. The next one is going to be the Bali at 37.25, and finally the Aventura, the smallest of the bunch, at 35.8. Looking at the beam, again, it's the Naughtytech that is the largest here at 22.6, followed by the Fountaine Pajot at 21.7, Bali at 21.5, and the Aventura at 19.5. Displacement, the lightest of the bunch, is the Aventura at 7.9 metric tons. That'll be followed by the Naughtytech at 8.5 metric tons. Then the Bali at 9.45, basically the same as the Fountaine Pajot at 9.5 metric tons. Upwind sail area. This is interesting. It's actually the Aventura that's the leader here. Upwind sail area, it's the Fountaine Pajot that's the leader at 95 square meters, followed surprisingly closely by the Aventura at 94 square meters. Then you've got the Naughtytech at 91, and the Bali way back at 74.32. Heading down to tankage, it's the Aventura that's got the greatest fuel capacity at 500 liters, and then the Naughtytech takes the lead for freshwater at 600 liters. Looking at the technical details, it's sort of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, but you could argue that the Aventura has a hair of a lead. It's got polyester with a multi-axle fiberglass on a foam core. The hulls under the waterline are a monolithic laminate polyester, while the top sides are made of a vacuum sandwich polyester laminate and the foam. Looking across, everything else is relatively similar, so not much of a difference here. If we go to the performance indicators, starting with sail area to displacement, which is indicative of power, the strongest animal here is, surprisingly, the Aventura 37 at 24.1, followed by the Naughty-Tech at 22.2, the Fountaine Pajot at 21.56, and the Bali at 17.06. Displacement over length at the waterline, or an indicator of heaviness. This is where we're like golf, lowest number wins, and that winner is the Naughty-Tech at 140, followed by the Fountaine Pajot at 157, then the Aventura at 169, and the Bali at 183. As we go into comfort ratio, it is the Aventura at 13.85 that is in the lead, followed closely by the Fountaine Pajot at 13.5, then the Bali at 13.17, the Naughty-Tech at 11.42. Hull speed on these is all about the same, given it's a factor of length. The greatest hull speed, the Fountaine Pajot, and the Naughty-Tech's at 8.37. The KSP, or the indicator of potential speed at 10 knots of wind, shows that it's the Aventura in the lead at 72% of wind speed, followed by the Naughty-Tech at 71, the Fountaine Pajot at 69, and the Bali at 60. And looking across the Bruce number, again here we've got the Aventura at 123 in the lead, followed by the Naughty-Tech at 1.18, the Fountaine Pajot at 1.17, and the Bali at 1.04. Looking at the profiles, you can see they're all relatively the same, save for the Bali, which is much more guppyish, much higher bridge deck. The Fountaine Pajot cuts a very nice profile, as does the Aventura 37. Naughty-Tech, of course, the sleekest, it being sort of that gap between production cruising cat and performance cat, somewhere sidled in between there. Heading onto the cabin top, it's the Aventura that really leads here. On a 37-foot vessel, or 35, it actually has a fly lounge. It has a lovely faux forward cockpit, and a mid-level helm station for good control and visibility. Looking across, the Bali Cat Space offers a nice area on the bimini top there as well, with lovely sun pads, and of course that solid foredeck makes for a football field worth of space and comfort, and actually a real forward cockpit with a little table. The Fountaine Pajot and Naughty-Techs, both much more functional, let's say, keeping that windage down. The Fountaine Pajot with the mid-level helm, which I really do like. The Naughty-Tech with the aft helms, which I also like for very different reasons. So I'm a bit torn between those two helm positions. Moving into the cabins, right here you can see the width of these vessels. The Aventura, definitely the smallest of the bunch. The Fountaine Pajot, honestly offering one of the most spacious interiors for a vessel of this size with a dedicated aft cockpit. Of course, our friends at Bali, they managed to squeeze a little bit more out of the space with that aft garage door and creating an indoor-outdoor space, but I really honestly would prefer a dedicated aft cockpit for those greasy suntan-laden days when I hop back in there and just want to relax at the table without maybe staining the interior upholstery. But the Fountaine Pajot here, I would say, is the leader. The nice thing that Fountaine Pajot also does in their saloons is they've gotten away from the mandatory kitchen table at the settee. They've actually gone with a coffee table, and why not? About this size, it generally couples. You're going to eat out in the aft cockpit most of the time anyways. Why not create that sense of luxury in the saloon, luxury in space? The Naughty-Tech setup is extremely different, and it is a new direction for them. They've carried it throughout their line. It's not really a favorite of mine. That mid-saloon stand-up table area there, I don't know. It's just, it doesn't do anything for me. I love their finishes. I love a lot of things about the Naughty-Tech, but this layout, probably not my fave. Heading down into the accommodations, You can see the Fountaine Pajot offers incredible walk-around space in those aft berths. And you know me, I want a nice three-sided access to that berth so it can be made spit spot, nice and clean and fresh every day. A nice forward head with a very good sized shower, and even a little makeup table there with a pull-out stool. I think they've just done a brilliant job here. The Naughty Tech, they do a little cutout at the bottom, but it's again, I got to slide out and disturb my partner if I'm going to get out of the bed or into the bed. Not my fave for making the bed. The Bally, they have sort of in betwixt and between. You do have reasonable access around. I could probably make that bed fairly easily. They do have an athwartship berth in the guest hull, which looks very nice, and that would certainly be easy to make. The Aventura, they've again offered a fair bit of space around those beds. Now they're certainly smaller, but you've got the practicality of being able to get around that bed and get in and out without bothering your partner, which I really like. I also really like the layout of their saloon there. If you're enjoying the content, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and then give us a like and forward this off to a like-minded friend or two and ask them to subscribe. It would really help the channel, and it's completely free. Thanks so much. Okay, hopping on board. What would Sylvia say? Well, other than the size, I think she would like this vessel. Fountaine Pajot really does a very nice job. You can see those nice wide sugar scoops, and of course all of the flexi teak back here. The one thing that I am not in love with is the way Fountaine Pajot leaves the ceiling of their bimini and even the ceiling of the saloon feeling a little unfinished. It's not all upholstered and pretty and smooth and whatnot. But, you know, that's a small price to pay. The helm station, you can see the size of the winches. I'm trying to listen to my audience. Some of them want to know the size of these winches, so I zoom in on them a wee bit. Flush hatches, which is very nice, and up front, a fabulous sunning area. Now, this is an option. This thing that's covering the nets with the little pillows, you cannot believe how comfortable on the feet that little thin bit of cloth makes the nets. I walked across it and I almost gasped out loud because it was such a difference to just walking on the nets. It's a really comfortable spot and a good addition to any catamaran. Whoever makes it, I'd love to find them because I think it's fantastic. Good handholds for safety here as you head back. And again, you've got lots of ventilation and access into your four peaks. You have these a nice sun bed area set up here. Again, great handholds. And a built-in area for solar, which is really nice. You're not having to tag on something ugly on the back here. Although, of course, you could put it on the davits over the dinghy. Very nice aft settee. Great little area here in the cockpit. Elegant teak stairs up to the helm position. I wish they had a hard top option for the helm position. I mean, it's simply an aesthetics thing. I get under the hard top on the Leopards, and it looks good and it feels solid. I really like the sense of it. It gives me a sense of security. However false that might be. But this is a canvas top, and it's done very, very nicely. Good access and visibility of the sails, as you can see there. And you also have those nice teak stairs up onto the sun pads on the bimini top there. Heading up here, you can see this is an extremely pleasant spot. I mean, remember again, we're on a 40-foot yacht. The other beauty of having a smaller vessel like this, and you'll see it in a second, is as I walk along this cabin top, I can reach every aspect of this sail. If there's a jam, if there's a problem putting it down, I have absolutely no problems. It's not like a Leopard 50 where I'm taking my life in my hands to try and get up there to it, or God forbid, a Lagoon 51. Or let's take it to the extreme, the Wave 50. If you had a look at that video, you can see, imagine in heavy seas trying to do that. I think I'd just go into a fetal position somewhere down in the saloon. Really comfortable helm station, nice line bags or line storage here, great visibility all around. Heading down these lovely teak steps into the cockpit and then panning around the saloon here. You can see the nice rounded edges here. They're not everywhere, but where they are, they got a lovely large circumference and really make a statement. The countertops look great. The windows are fantastic. You've got beautiful forward big opening ports there to get breeze going through the cabin. The settee, as you can see, it's not just ordinary. It has a little cutaway edge to it. It's got that lovely little coffee table there. Really, has some different visual features to it. Heading down the stairs, you can see how lovely this guest head is. It really is a dry head, although it doesn't seem to have a door. I'd probably quickly do one there. Of course, you can do the curtain thing, but I don't like those. Nice finishes on the wall. The wood finishes, although, being a manufactured wood, still look elegant. The whole thing, and look at the room around this berth on your guest side. Well, we'll head forward now to the, I would call this a single or a very cuddly double. And you've got nice curtains to cover up and get your privacy easily. The nice little touches like that inset stainless steel fiddle on all of the shelves is a really nice detail. You've got your escape hatch underneath the stairs here. So coming back up, you can see the little angle to the jut out on the settee there, which just adds a little visual delight to the whole thing. We're going to head now down into the owner's cabin. Now, look, there's a very nice little makeup table, little work desk area for a boat this size. It's really nice to have that. Look at the amount of space around the berth. No doubt I could easily get around. Not to mention, when I'm laying on the berth, I don't feel constrained by the walls right up against my face. I really do like a little space and a little area to put my phone during the day if I'm having a nap there. Heading forward now into the head, you can see how lovely this is. Again, a dry head, very nice sink, beautiful shower, and this is really cool. I've got internal storage for all of the bits and pieces that you'd need in a bed and bath scenario here. So a linen closet right there, plus all of this storage here. So again, 40-foot vessel. You've got a lot going for you here. It really is very nicely done. Again, your hardware, your inset LED lighting, all of that really, really does look good. The kitchen has nice details. Again, the radius on that curve at the edge of the counter looks so good. It adds a sense of style. And it does not feel like a 40-foot catamaran in here. Beautiful skylight there. So, I mean, you really are getting a lot for a 40-foot vessel. Now, let's do a little naval gazing. This week, we're going to talk about an upcoming new innovation. It's nothing earth-shattering, but it is rather unique, and that's solar windows. So solar windows are a developing technology that could soon allow you to convert the sunlight that comes through your windows into electricity to power your vessel. This technology uses a photovoltaic glaze that has the ability to capture solar energy while keeping your windows transparent. The coating contains the world's smallest solar cells, less than a quarter the size of a grain of rice. There is no need to install new windows. All you need to do is apply it to the surface of the glass. While this technology is still in its infancy and efficiency is about half a standard cell, many companies, like Solar Window Technologies and Ubiquitous Energy, are hoping to roll out their product to consumers in the near future. The other application I could see for this would be an application along the hull side, similar to what Sunreef are doing on their eco yachts, except there you clearly see the solar cells. In this case, it would be a transparent layer on the side of the hull, which could really gather you a lot of energy without uglying up your boat. Okay, now let's look at the used comparable market. First up, we are looking at a Bally catch space. a 41 foot, a 2020. They are at a 2021, my apologies. They are asking $642,864 versus our sail away on the FP Isla 40 of $709,000. I would probably go with the Fountaine Pajot on this. I really do like the Bally, but I do prefer a dedicated cockpit and a lot of the style features, honestly, in the Fountaine Pajot. Next up, we are looking at the Seawind 1260, a 2019 at $626,729 versus our sail away of $709,631. Now, I know the Seawind, it's a vinyl ester boat. It's a very nice boat. Again, personal preference would lead me to the new Fountaine Pajot, and it is a difficult decision, but that's probably the way my preference would lie. Heading over to now a 2021 Fountaine Pajot Isla 40. So this is a 2-year-old boat, and they're asking $580 versus the new one at $709. I would definitely go with the 2-year-old Isla, assuming it had the options that I was looking for. It's not just the savings of the $120,000, $130,000, but it's the fact that all of the worries and the problems of a brand new boat are taken care of, and there's probably some personal goodies on this as well. Next up is a 2020 XS12. It's a 40 foot. They're asking $442,258. So you're looking at a 2-3-year-old boat for about $250,000 less than our 709. If I had the money, I would still go with the Fountaine Pajot. I get the excess. I get what they're trying to do there. It's just not my style, the interior or the helming positions or anything of that nature. Next up is a 2019 Naughty-Tech 40 Open. And this is a difficult decision. This is $500,000 versus our $700,000. So $200,000 for 3 years of age on a very, very well-built vessel, the Naughty-Tech 40 Open. I would have to go with the Naughty-Tech 40 Open, the 3-year-old on this one. Okay, it's time for monohull heresy. So first up, again, we look at something that's about 20% longer in a monohull than the catamaran we're looking at, just to get a reasonable equivalence of usable space. Our first up is a 2018 Halberg Grassi 48 MK2. She's a beautiful boat, and this really isn't a fair comparison. They're asking $941,649 versus our 709. I mean, the Halberg Grassi is a beautiful monohull. For my application, though, a catamaran still is the better bet, and I'm saving $200,000, so I would go with our Fountaine Pajot. Next up is a Bavaria 51 Cruiser. It's a 2019, so we're looking at a 3-year-old boat. Wow, and it's only $235,000. Wow, that's a huge difference. The money alone has to take me to the monohull of Bavaria. Next up, we're looking at a Hansa 508, $400,000 versus $700,000, and it's only 2 years old. If I could convince Sylvia, I'd have to do the Hansa. I do like the Hansa product. Next is a 2021 Dufour 470. They're looking at $450,000. Wow, in these smaller areas, it's hard not to go with the monohull. The Dufour is a nice boat, although aesthetically, I'd probably give the nod to the Fountaine Pajot. However, we are talking a $250,000, $260,000 delta. I could sail the world on this Dufour. Not sure I'd take a 40-foot cat around the world. Finally, we're looking at a 2019 Jeanneau Sun Odyssey 490. They're looking at 350. Again, it's only a 3-year-old boat. Great vessel. I'd have to go with the Sun Odyssey on this one. Rather surprising results on the monohull side, quite honestly, even to me, having done this for a while. Okay, it's time for the Dave score. So how did she do? And boy, we have done a lot of yachts here. Well, she didn't do too bad. Given this is a 40-foot vessel, she scored 65, putting her and people out there are going to kill me when they see the Gunboat 57 right below this Fountaine Pajot in the same class. But neither of them would I do a circumnav, and that's what all this is about. The Gunboat was spectacular, but it's not built to live on. The Neil 47, definitely a contender. And I would take a Neil 47 around the world. The 43 probably closer to the Lagoon 40, or no, the Fountaine Pajot 40. Although I'd give the nod to the Fountaine Pajot 40. The XS 11 there, it maybe a little bit of, but I don't know. When you get a point apart in this, it's so subjective. I would put those two at about the same. So interior, we're looking at a 7 for elegance. Exterior, about a 6. The interior for comfort, about a 6, simply because it's a smaller vessel. It's a 40-foot boat. The exterior, 7. They've done a great job with all the various surfaces and lounging and sun pad areas. Quality, I'd give it a 7. It felt like a good boat. Performance, I'll give it a 6. Lazy Sailor, a 7. Everything comes back to the helm, but there's nothing spectacular. Condo, a 6, simply because it's not a condo. Well, actually, in Vancouver, it just might be. But it's a bit small for that. Geek, 6. There's nothing wildly geeky about this. And value for the money, I give it about a 7. So a total of 65 for the Fountaine Pajot Isla 40. For our Art of the Region this week, we're looking at Andre Derain and his painting, Collioure La Porte de Peche, which is valued at about €1 million. Henri Matisse arrived in Collioure in May 1905 at the age of 36, depressed, full of self-doubts, and very short of money. Isn't it ironic how masters like that could feel the same way you and I do a lot of the time? As soon as he got off the train, he was struck by the vitality of the little Catalan fishing port. His depression lifted. Everywhere he saw color and light, almost violent in its intensity. He was about to fill 100 canvases and start a new movement in the history of art. He sent a simple postcard to his friend Andre Derain. Venez, it said. And Derain came, just in time to celebrate his 25th birthday. 25. Tall and good-looking, when he arrived at the station hotel dressed in white, a red beret on his head, La Dame Roussette, la patronne, thought he looked dressed for a carnival. She was not sure she wanted him as a lodger. He swept off his beret and bowed to her. His bags were collected from the station, and he set to work. Later, Derain was to remark that the colors of Collioure that summer of 1905 had been as sticks of dynamite. The two artists certainly went into battle together. Their easels often side by side. They painted Collioure from every angle. Derain was a great friend of Valminic, and although he never came to Collioure, it was with Valminic that Matisse and Derain so shocked the Paris art world at the Salon d'Automne of 1905. Derain described their work as a trial by fire, a purifying of painting, a liberating of color. The critics described it as the work of fauves, or wild beasts. It was not a compliment, but the name stuck. Fauvism was born, and Matisse was head fauve. Well, that's our wine, waves, art, and ideas for this week. I do hope you've enjoyed it. I am starting to grow an affection for the smaller catamarans versus the large ones that I started with, much like I'm starting to develop a significant affection for old world wines versus the new world sweetness that always seemed to pleasure my palate before. Now I find it like sticky jam. Anyways, this has been quite a journey. I hope you're enjoying it with me, and let's see you next week. Thanks again for coming. Cheers.